Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Amy. I am a mum of 2 boys and I have a bit of a problem with books. I am obsessed with books. I am willing to say I have a bit of a problem. So if you haven't watched my last video, I have a 22 book haul, which I still haven't put on my shelves, I know, but it's time to do an unhaul. It's my first ever unhaul of books. Surprisingly, I only have 13 books in this pile, which I thought it was going to be a lot more, but I think 13 is still a pretty big number considering that my book collection is just what's on this shelf and then the books that I have hauled. If you haven't watched that book haul, then I'll pop a link in the description if you would like to watch that. There are some very good finds in that book haul that I'm so pleased with, but it is time to do an unhaul and I have less than 30 minutes to film this because I need to wake my son up in 28 minutes and then we need to go to our swimming lesson. So can we do this in less than 30 minutes? Let's see. So there's many different reasons why I'm getting rid of some of these books. Some of them I just don't gel with, some of them I've read a few pages and I've thought, no, this absolutely isn't for me. Some of them are duplicates, but in no particular order. The first one I'm going to start with is Brooklyn by Colm Tobin. I read about 20 pages of this and I was just so bored. Like, it's just, this isn't even a very long book. I think it's like 250 pages. So I thought, I'm in a bit of a reading slump. This might get me out of it because it's quite a short book. This just made it worse. What are we on today? The 15th of June and I've read 1.5 books. I'm not even at 2 books, guys. It's really bad. I'm hoping that I can push through because the book I'm reading at the minute I'm really enjoying. But I thought if I read a short book it might help get me out of my reading slump, and I just did not enjoy this whatsoever. So this is the first book in my unhaul pile, and it's about Ailish, who emigrates to New York from Ireland, and then I believe there's some kind of love triangle involved, and then she gets called back to Ireland, so she has to think about if she wants to leave her life in New York behind when she's fallen in love, or she fulfills her duties and goes back to Ireland. But I just did not gel with this, so this is the first book in my unhaul. Next is Shrines of Gaiety by Kay Atkinson. I've read this all the way through. It was okay. It's not really a book that I'm going to read again. It is about basically the speakeasy scene in the 1920s in, I believe it's London. And Nellie Corker, she is basically the queen of this nightlife scene, and she owns all of these speakeasies and clubs, and it's basically about how her children are fighting for this title and they want to take over this empire of London nightlife that shouldn't even be happening because it's 1926 in London, and I believe that there was some kind of prohibition on alcohol as well and speakeasies at that time in England. So it's about how they're basically trying to claw their way up to the top and take their mother's place, and there's some murders involved as well. It's a hefty book. Let me just see how many pages this actually is. This is 512 pages. It's a hefty book. I kind of enjoyed reading it, but I kind of didn't at the same time. I just felt like it was too long and some things didn't need to be in there. But if you're interested in 1920s nightlife and like the hierarchy and competition of like nightlife in the 1920s and speakeasies and clubs, I'd recommend reading this. It just wasn't for me personally. So next in the unhaul, this one I'm kind of sad that I'm getting rid of because it is a classic, but I just did not enjoy it. Some of the characters really annoyed me. I found it really hard to read because it is an 1800s classic, it's a 19th century classic, and I feel really bad getting rid of it, but I just did not enjoy it, and it is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. Now, I do see this as a spring read. I would definitely put it on a spring recommendation list. Anything written by Jane Austen is immediately a spring read for me. I'm not sure why. I think it's just like the archaic language and the writing. I just associate it with spring for some reason. And I remember all of the like Catherine Cookson TV shows being on during springtime and my mum watching them. I just always associate books like this with spring. So I would definitely recommend this for spring, but I just personally did not like it that much. And like the writing, because this was, I'm not sure what year this was published in, but this is like a Penguin Classic one, and I'm not sure when this was actually published, but I don't know if you can see the writing. It is so small, and I was getting a headache reading this, but I think it's time for someone else to enjoy it. So Northanger Abbey, unfortunately it's time to say goodbye to that. Next is The Serial Killer's Sister by Alice Hunter. I actually really wanted to read this, but then I read like the first couple of chapters and I just was not into it at all. Yeah, I just don't think the writing style was particularly for me. I am big into true crime novels and crime and thriller novels, but this just wasn't gelling with me, unfortunately. And I do know that this is part of a series, so I'm not sure if it's because they need to be read in a certain order, but there were certain bits that I just didn't understand. So yeah, this I think deserves to go to someone else because I'm probably not going to read this. Next, I'm going to include these together because they're by the same author, and it is Part-Time Working Mummy, A Patchwork Life and A Different Kind of Happy. These are both by Rachel Hambleton. These just, I don't think these are for me, to be honest. So one of them I believe is a non-fiction. It's slice of life retelling, and then the other one is a slice of life fiction about two people who have previously been with partners. They've now split up from those partners, but they have had children from those previous relationships, and finding how to make their new family work with children from previous relationships, and you know, having a blended family. I just don't think these would be for me personally. My neighbour actually gave me these, but I'm not sure if I'm going to read them, so I would rather give them to someone who is going to read them and enjoy them. I don't want to keep them on my bookshelves if they're just never going to be read, so these are going as well. Next, I didn't like this book at all. I think I gave this like a 3-star. I thought I would really like it because it's on a subject that I'm really interested in, but unfortunately, because it is a non-fiction, I just don't think I am a non-fiction girly. And I just really didn't enjoy it, and it is Witches, James the First and the English Witch Hunts by Tracy Borman. This is just basically a case study on the witch hunts in England. It was very boring. I didn't like the writing style. I finished it, but it was very, very nearly a DNF. It's just because I love history that I kept reading this, because I was interested in the corruption and the conspiracies and everything surrounding it. But I just don't like Tracy Borman's writing style. I just think it's very bland and very boring. I understand it is a non-fiction, so there's only so much pizzazz you can add to it, but I don't know. I just didn't click with this, and it's not going to be a book that I'm excited to read or pick up to read again. So I think this needs to go to someone else. Next is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. Now, the reason that I am getting rid of this is because if you have seen my book haul, I managed to grab the hardback Fairy Loot edition of this, so I don't need 2 copies. That's the only reason why I'm getting rid of this, is because I now have a hardback. But this is one of my favourite books of all time. Absolutely love it, and I'm going to read it again before I read Bookshops and Bone Dust, I think, because I just love this book so much. This is Just Got Real by Jane Fallon. Again, this is kind of like, not a thriller, but about cheating partners and, you know, getting revenge and everything like that, and I just don't know if it'd be for me, but we'll see. I might find some other books like this, but this just doesn't look interesting to me. It doesn't sound interesting. So it's about Johnny and Ant. They meet each other through a dating site. Everything's fine and dandy until one day Johnny discovers that Ant is still dating other women through this app. So she contacts these other women and they kind of work together to get revenge. It just doesn't seem like it's for me. I may, if I want to read it, I'll probably rent it out from the library, but unfortunately this just doesn't pique my interest. Next is I actually have 2 copies of this, and it is God Killer by Hannah Kana. I have one hardback and one paperback. So the reason I have a hardback and a paperback, this was the copy that I originally owned. And then I found 2 hardcover copies through Amazon, and I ordered them. I ordered one, but it said it wasn't going to get here for like another 3 weeks. And then I found another one that was going to get here much sooner. So I ordered the other one and tried to cancel the first one. Amazon wouldn't let me cancel the first one, and they both arrived within a day of each other. So I'm getting rid of one paperback and one hardback copy of God Killer by Hannah Kana. I will be rereading God Killer before I read Sunbringer, which is the second book in the series, which I have up there on my shelf. But I am so excited to reread this because this was just a phenomenal read, and I cannot wait to pick it back up again before I read Sunbringer. Next one, I feel so bad because my mother-in-law gave me this for a Christmas present, but I just cannot bring myself to read it. This is a chonker. This is a chunky book. Let me just actually see how many pages this is. This is 589 pages. That's a chonker, and I get really daunted by big books unless I'm really excited to read them, like the Crescent City novels. I am so excited to read those books because I'm hyping myself up for them. This has just been sat on my bookshelf and I cannot bring myself to read it. It is The Wine of Angels by Phil Rickman. I've never read anything by Phil Rickman, and I don't want to put myself through this if I'm not going to like it. So I think this is going to be the same as Just Got Real. If I want to read it, I will rent it out from the library, but right now this scares me, so I'm going to give it to someone who will enjoy it and knows they will enjoy it and not take a risk. So the last 2 books in my unhaul are actually part of a set, and it is The Big Book of Serial Killers Volume 1 and The Big Book of Serial Killers Volume 2. I feel really bad because my husband got me Volume 2, and 2 of my best friends, actually the godparents of our children, got me Volume 1. But these are just the kind of book you only need to read once, if you know what I mean. These are real life case studies of multiple hundreds of serial killers. So there is 150 in each. So that is 300 serial killers I read about in a very short span of time, and at the end of each, I needed a reading break. I was traumatized. I have a very big interest in serial killers, true crime, crime and thriller books, but those 2 just kind of tipped me over the edge because it is non-fiction, it is fact, and it makes your stomach turn. It's very matter of fact, like, first he killed this person, this is how the murder happened. It was a lot, guys. It was so much, and my brain can only handle so much. And again, like I said, those are only 1 read books. Once you find out about those people and what people are capable of, it scares the living hell out of you, and I think it's time to pass those on. So that was my unhaul. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm probably, hopefully, not going to do another unhaul for a while because all the books behind me and all the books down there are pretty much on my physical TV. I wasn't lying when I said I had a problem. So yeah, it's nice to do a bit of a refresh because even though I have done a book haul, it is my birthday in a couple of weeks. So there are 2 things that I am going to do for my birthday, because I know that I do usually get spending money rather than actual gifts for my birthday. One of them is going to be a tattoo. and the other one is going to be more books. So there will be another book haul coming very, very soon. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!